23rd of December 2009 was the day when Scotland woke to the silence of snow. It was the beginning of one of the longest cold spells in 30 years. Snow blanketed the whole country. Sub-zero temperatures took hold of everything in their path. The country, its people and services were pushed to their limits. But this extreme weather also transformed an already beautiful Scotland into a dazzling winter wonderland. It provided a rare opportunity to take a bird's-eye view of our country under the icy spell. This wintry vision of Scotland possessed an almost mesmeric beauty. Rivers and canals froze. Even the Falkirk wheel stopped turning. Streams turned to icy pathways down mountainsides. Historic landmarks like Jedburgh Abbey lay empty of tourists. Remote glens were untouched, even by the hardiest of walkers. This special winter journey offered a unique chance to see this stunning landscape magically transformed by snow. On the way, we got up close and personal with the icy north face of Ben Nevis. Experienced the Great Glen at its most atmospheric. And took a rare look at a silent, almost still capital city, Edinburgh. But perhaps nowhere had been changed quite so dramatically as Scotland's Highlands. Looking down on these mountains, the extensive snow cover hinted at a time when a succession of ice ages shaped this region for over 2.5 million years. From ice caps, sometimes half a mile thick, glaciers flowed, carving their way through the land. Rain and wind added the final touches to these jagged mountains and scooped out glens. In the Western Highlands, Glencoe must be one of Scotland's most impressive examples of this ferocious erosion. Every year, hundreds of thousands of visitors come here to immerse themselves in this gorgeous glen at its spectacular summits. Now in the depths of winter, tourists were few, the deep snow keeping them away. At the entrance to the glen, Buchal Etive Moor stands proud as always, more dramatic than ever in its snowy shroud. No wonder this mountain was recently voted one of the top 10 greatest views in the world. It's also a favourite with hill walkers. The challenge? A 5-mile ridge with 4 peaks. Each well over 3,000 feet, 2 of them Munros. Moving further into the glen, the distinctive ridges of the Three Sisters stand over the pass of Glencoe. Looking at this frozen and bleak wilderness, it's hard not to think of the glen's bloody past. On the 13th of February 1692, the infamous massacre took place. Government troops brutally murdered 38 members of the Clan MacDonald. Their blood said to have stained the snow where they fell. Today, the glen is sadly still home to tragedy. These formidable mountains claim the lives of up to 10 climbers every year. But despite the dangers, the lure of these summits is irresistible for some. The thrill of conquering them, compulsive. On Glencoe's north side, the Annach Íoch Ridge is arguably the finest ridge traverse in Britain. It's also one of the most challenging. On its knife-edge crest, thousands of feet up, climbers were totally exposed. Once up, there is no turning back. Completing this mile-long ridge is a serious coup, especially on a winter's day like this. For the stunning views alone, it must be worth it. In the distance sits the majestic Ben Nevis. Towering 4,406 feet, this is Britain's tallest mountain. Although in recent weeks, an additional few feet have been added in snow. On the north face, ice columns have formed on these giant cliffs. Only the most experienced mountaineers could attempt these. At the top, they dream of a view like this. For the Ben summit is usually cloud-free just one day in 10. And even in summer, the temperature here is often sub-zero. In Scotland's mountains, such cold can strike at any time. But it was the prolonged freeze that was so unusual. It certainly shocked the rest of the country. Recent temperatures have been so low they reached minus 22 degrees. That's like living in a domestic freezer. Across the land, the cold smothered everything in reach. The Great Glen. From Fort William to Inverness, this phenomenal natural feature runs 62 miles across the north. Below this foggy layer, the Caledonian Canal was frozen. Rarely in its celebrated 200-year history has this canal been closed for so long. Of the glen's 4 natural lochs, only the vast expanse of Loch Ness remained free of fog. Few boats took to its icy waters, and on the banks, no tourist buses travelled the well-worn sightseeing route. Urquhart Castle, was still open to the few souls who braved the cold. They had its 800-year history all to themselves. Coming up, this unique journey through our country transformed by snow reaches Edinburgh, the nation's capital, arguably at her most glorious. And the Cairngorms, an amazing winter playground.